what what made you, or what kind of like issue or problem were you trying to solve before you reached out?
Before I started working out with you, there was like a couple of months that I really was struggling to get up and start working out because the work was so stressful and I was not getting enough time. I think personally, I was making up excuses for not being active.
Sure.
Part of that has obviously got to do with the sedentary lifestyle and just like amount of work and stress. But I think part of it was just like after a couple of weeks, you're just like, well, another stressful day. Instead of challenging yourself and saying like, how can I change that? I was just kind of like falling into the habit of like taking that over my life and letting it control of how I want to like, deal with fitness.
Sure.
So I think over time, I just felt like because I was not as active as used to being, it's affecting all aspects of the life. And I think overall, mentally, I was feeling very, very out of it
Because you were missing that thing that you were
because
supposed
that rush, adrenaline rush, just like the clarity that you get after you work out, just pushing yourself physically and mentally, I think that was missing and lacking. And there obviously was time where I was like, this is physically not possible to like leave my house. But then after that, I was just like, hey, I'd rather like put in another extra hour of work instead of like stopping going working out. I think I was like kind of not having the right priorities in front of me.
Sure, understood. Yeah. And it's so easy, even someone like you who's used to being so fit, how you can kind of slide in the opposite direction sometimes, right?
It's very easy to slip versus like getting back on track. The challenge is that I think on a day-to-day basis, we're especially with the working from home model, we end up being so sedentary, we don't even realize like how bad it gets. Like if I look at my watch, the days when I'm like in back-to-back meetings, the amount of the steps that I get versus when I'm in the office or walking around, it's literally like I get like maybe 1,000 steps for the day,
Sure.
and like that's horrible.
Yeah, it's challenging. You have to actually work really hard to get that moving in, right?
Yeah, so you actually have to really focus on like not being so stagnant or like moving around. Um, and even now, sometimes I struggle even with this. It's because there's just so much work and so many meetings that unless like you focus on trying to be active, 8 out of 9, 8 out of 10 times actually, you can really slip if you actually are not focused.
Yeah, it takes diligent effort. And I think, as a follow-up to that, once you were like, I got to do something, like I'm getting 1,000 steps in, we talked, we chatted a little bit about what might be a program. What made you decide to work with me, or go ahead with the program?
So I've known you for the last year, 2, 3 years. I've worked with you and I've seen you coach when we were doing CrossFit. That was kind of like I got to know you a little bit because you'd helped earlier as well in terms of like how you approach, um, how you understand and how you work with people. And then apart from that, I'd seen social media and posts about like things that you're doing and the program that you're trying to do. And for me, the biggest challenge is trying to like have a structured time around things and not being bounded by like a workout class or like a specific workout time. That was kind of like the key essential for me was like there's so many days that are unpredictable to be able to have that flexibility of like being able to work out whenever I can and find time. I think that was like one of the key essential things that was a challenge for me.
Mm,
And that's how I found the solution through you.
awesome. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Something that's flexible with your schedule.
Absolutely. And especially like there's like so many meetings, there's so many different things that always take precedent over trying to work out.
Sure.
So having the flexibility saying, hey, whenever I get a break in between trying to like put in a quick workout or like getting up a little bit early or doing it a little bit late, just having that flexibility instead of like stressing out that, hey, I have to make my 6 p.m. workout class or like my 5 a.m. workout class, and then missing and not being able to because of other issues, then you're just like feeling very rejected or defeated, or just overall you're like very, very demoralized.
Mhm. Yeah, as opposed to now when you can make it work with your schedule, it's, like you're able to actually accomplish it, you get those wins.
Yeah, so now that I have my workouts, I understand how much time it is going to take. Then I'm able to like necessarily chart out, hey, exactly what time and when I can like get in my workout, be able to be more disciplined about it and not feel stressed out about wanting to work out. The other challenge is like you're stressed out as it is about without working out,
Mhm.
then not working out adds another level of stress. So you're actually like defeating the whole purpose of working out.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a vicious cycle, but we got you going in the other direction.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely helped that, having the ease of mind that, hey, I have this whenever I get time, able to do it. And also having flexibility of like picking days when I'm not really expected to work out, but just be active. I think sometimes that really plays well when the days that I know I have a very packed day and I'm not able to get in the quick workout that I want to, but I can balance it with other days when I can actually change and switch things around. That flexibility in itself gives you more options of not actually deviating from your goal for the week.
Yes. Yeah. So knowing you have the room to kind of freelance within there while still hitting the target.
Yeah, just not like if I have to stay late at work and I haven't worked out for the day, I don't have to feel upset that, hey, I was not able to get in what I needed to do today. I always can say, okay, after next day or two, I have my days off. I can just switch it around and then just work out the day off. So that really gives you very, very good options to work with.
Absolutely. And I guess, you may have already kind of said it, but, what do you think has been sort of the most valuable part of the program for you?
I think obviously sharing the knowledge that you have, trying to like how to improve on some of the things that I'm doing that I can do better, or
Sure.
some of the things trying to figure out that I'm not doing that I need to be doing. I think it's always obviously, you know, there you always have some background, but actually having somebody coach you through the process and educating you, that obviously takes it to the next level.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of what's been different is that, we all know like work out, eat healthy, simple, right? If
Yeah.
only life was that simple.
Well, to some extent, it is simple, but definitely not easy, right?
I think the execution is what's the most challenging aspect of anything. The
Yeah.
idea is simple, but the actual execution is complicated because we all live such different lifestyles.
Yes, very true. And for you specifically, a very busy one. So it's like managing those challenging habits on their own with work challenges.
Yeah, and I can't blame anybody else. I have to blame myself because I'm making those choices.
Sure.
And if I make the right choices, then I'm able to see the results.
Yes. No, and I think that's really empowering that you ultimately like you take ownership over it. And I think that's been part of why you're so successful is look like I can make this work. I can do both things.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for me is I like challenging myself and I try to hold myself to really high esteem and regard just in terms of like, setting up a challenge and a goal in front of me and trying to like go achieve it. Um, but also trying to be realistic. I think sometimes I tend to like get a little bit carried away, but trying to be more realistic and at least taking things in control of what I actually have control. There are things that you can't really control. So
Sure.
be able to let go of that and be able to just focus on things that I can control. I think that's a good learning experience.
Very much so. And I agree with that. And I guess as a follow-up question to what we've been talking about, what would you recommend or say to someone that was thinking about, starting a coaching program with me or going to a similar program?
I would say that if somebody is ready to make some serious commitments and actually would like to see results, um, it's not easy. Um, it's not uh, it's not one of those things where like you sign up the gym membership and then you don't show up. It doesn't work that way, because especially being in a virtual and a remote program, you are your own, I would say, teacher, and you're the one who's going to watch over you. Like, you're accountable yourself, right? So if you don't show up, you fail pretty
Sure.
much, right? So as much as it's important to have somebody be there for you, you also have to be ready to commit. So I think it's kind of like 50-50, like having you coach, but also be able to show up. And I think that's what makes this successful.
To have it, it's teamwork at the end of the day.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That's fantastic insight. And like I'm with you 100%. I think there's just a level in all fitness things of like self-motivation that needs to take place for people. And I think a lot of people want things done for them just in general, and definitely not at this.
No, and when you actually are like physically somewhere or like going to a gym or however, you're working with different factors. But I think with this whole pandemic, we're so used to like being remote and doing things on our own,
Sure.
that we end up compromising, because not all of us are trained professionally in terms of like health and fitness and exercise,
Sure.
that it's good to have somebody kind of guide you through, while also being able to make your own rules at the same time.
Yes, definitely. No, I appreciate that insight. Well, thank you for answering all my questions.